Hang on.
So we have an employee recognition.
Really?
Morning, Zach.
Didn't even see you sneak in. I was quite stealthy this morning. I had good cover.
Good. Well, maybe let's try to get that.
So can we start on time?
We are ready.
It's 9 o'clock, so.
Please stand, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everybody.
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, good morning. Excuse me. I welcome everyone here this morning to the Morrison County Board meeting here on October 4th. First thing on the agenda, we have employee recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. LeBlanc.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like Officer Ashley LeBlanc, Sergeant Brill, Officer Beto, as well as Rachel Zimmerman and Sherry Bernarski to come up here if you're here this morning. And Sean, if you'd like to join me, you're more than welcome as well. Yeah, how about right here? Then we'll look at everybody. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, Mr. Chair, this morning, what a great morning already. Welcome everybody, and it's wonderful to see everybody. As usual, it's a pleasure and an honor when I'm able to be brought up here to recognize exceptional performance by any of our employees within the county. And this morning's recognition are all employees from our Sheriff's Department. And I will talk about these individuals very shortly on a very remarkable event with some very professional response, impressive. But I have to give a shout out to our Sheriff, Sean Larson, and we had a program manager of the year in Tim Brummer just recognized by the state of Minnesota, and Victoria McKissick is out as well recognized as the EM for the state of Minnesota for the year. So fantastic representation by the Morrison County Sheriff's Office. Please give them a round of applause. Now for this incident, this is a response to a drug exposure incident on September 3rd, 2022. Ashley LeBlanc was the first to be involved in this event by spotting a female inmate acting suspiciously on camera. Officer LeBlanc alerted Sergeant Amy Brill, Officer Kaylin Beto, and trainee Officer Kayla Anderson of the suspicious behavior. While the other officers were preparing to make contact with the inmate, Officer LeBlanc maintained a vigilant eye on the female inmate. Upon entering into the inmate's cell, Sergeant Brill, Officer Beto, and Officer Anderson instructed the inmate to uncover. The inmate refused and had to be removed from the bed and out into booking. The officers saw the contraband and white powder on the bed as they were removing the inmate from the cell. While the inmate was handcuffed, she attempted to reach down inside of her clothing. Sergeant Brill immediately noticed the inmate's behavior and took action. Officer Beto and Officer Anderson assisted Sergeant Brill in getting the female under control and stopped her from pulling anything out. Okay, if that's not impressive enough, this is really where things, in my mind, go up a notch, and we have our dispatchers here. Officer LeBlanc saw they needed help. She alerted dispatch she would be dumping power from the Morrison County master control to dispatch. So at that moment in time, the tower becomes control of dispatch, and now all officers in the facility are engaged in this event. It's pretty neat. Officer LeBlanc secured master control and went to booking to assist her partners. Sergeant Brill, Officer Beto, and Officer Anderson used proper technique in getting the inmate to the floor and eventually under control, with no injury to anyone. Dispatchers Rachel Zimmerman and Sherry Bernarski took control of the jail doors, called the local police officers to assist the jail. The dispatchers and jail staff acted as a team until the situation was under control. And if you've ever been inside the jail, it takes about 9 buttons to get anywhere, and to have them do it remotely, super impressive. Eventually, 3 police officers arrived in the jail, a total of 4.6 grams with packaging of suspected fentanyl, very dangerous item, and 48 pills of suspected Klonopin were recovered from the inmate. An amazing event. Please give him a round of applause. Sheriff, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, you summed it all up, and you did a great job, so thank you, and thank you, board, for allowing us to be able to recognize our employees, because they do go above and beyond on a daily basis, but in this situation, it definitely highlights their commitment and collaboration amongst each other. And we're just talking about dumping power from the jail to dispatch. You know, it was always somewhat kind of scary, so now we train once a week, every Sunday, dumping power. But a real-life incident like this, as I've been sheriff, it's never happened. And I'm not sure the history. I know Commissioner used to be in the sheriff's office, but I don't remember it ever happening. So kudos to these guys working together and being on the same page and stepping up and taking action and not hesitating. So, thank you.
Wow.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Mr. LeBlanc, and staff. Extremely impressive, and very humbling for us as a board to have you here. And you know, we've talked before the sheriff, and others have been before this board to talk about the dangers of dealing with some of these individuals, and when there's fentanyl present. And so as I listen to and these images go through my mind, I give you nothing but the greatest respect for the job that you do, and for providing public safety and safety for each of your fellow officers out there. Gentlemen, Commissioner Jelinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sheriff and staff, I have to tell you that there's only one way this can be successful. Only one way, and that is with training. And training, and training, and training. And hats off to, we train this in particular item once a week. Boy, does that sound crazy. We're gonna try this once a week, like we don't know what to do? Training. The only way this can be done safely, nobody's hurt, is train, train, and train. I love it. I'm absolutely impressed, because I have to tell you that as long as I did what I did in my past life, I was scared to death to dump power from the jail to dispatch. Very open and honest and can admit that. Scared to death to do that. I was scared to death. That meant that the staff that worked for me, and I look at Rachel and I smile and I say, remember any of that stuff, Rachel? Well, yeah, but we really never did it very often. True story. The only way it can be done successful, and thank you all, train, train, and train again. God bless America. Thank you.
Enough said. I can't add to any of that, so yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you too.
Sherry, can you come on up behind the board, please? Thank you. Stand behind, or Sean, you want to grab a grip of green here? Rachel, come on up.
We'll stand back.
Kayla? No, welcome aboard. Nice job. Oops. Ashley? Don't forget Sheriff. Congratulations. Nice job. Caitlin? Morning. And Sergeant Amy Brill.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We have to get in the center, right there.
Yeah, but I don't think this is the center yet.
You guys gotta move down a little, move down your way a little bit. There you go.
That's about as far as we want to go.
Let me grab those chairs real quick.
Okay, Zach, where do we got to go?
I think we're in good shape, actually. I think we're good. You guys are getting to be old pros at this now.
We're training.
Yeah, there you go, training, yes. All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Commissioner Wilson, can I have you move
Yeah, the
just
Richard
a,
certificate a little bit.
yeah, there we go.
Sorry. Yeah, everybody's about right. Good, perfect.
Okay,
Sharp.
1, 2, 3. I'm good.
Thank you. All right, one more round of applause, please. Thank you. Thanks, nice job. Appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks, Sean. All right. All right, we're back.
Gentlemen, what a great way to start the day.
Yeah, it was.
Gentlemen, before we go on, we need to review the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions? We have no additions or deletions. We have a motion by Commissioner Wincher and a second by Commissioner Wilson to approve the agenda. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. And with that, gentlemen, we have the consent agenda before us. Is there any commissioner who would like to have anything pulled from the consent agenda for further discussion?
Not I, Mr. Chair.
Seeing nothing to be pulled, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was.
Motion to approve, Mr.
Second.
Chair.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jelinski, a second by Commissioner Lemire to approve the consent agenda. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, gentlemen, this is a roll call. Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Lemire. Commissioner Wincher. Commissioner Jelinski.
Aye.
And the chairman votes aye. All those voting in the affirmative, the consent agenda is approved. Gentlemen, next, very important, we have 4-H Week proclamation. Gloria.
Don't be shy.
But you're not reading it. but you have it.
Oh. Thank you all to all our young leaders in training for being here with us at the county board meeting this morning. And I believe Ms. Holtz is going to read the proclamation this morning. Alicia, go ahead.
Whereas 4-H is America's largest youth development organization, having supported almost 6 million youth across the country thus far. And whereas 4-H has helped over 200 youth in Morrison County to become confident, independent, resilient, and compassionate leaders. And whereas 4-H is delivered by a cooperative extension, a community of more than 100 public universities across the nation that provides experience where young people learn by doing and hands-on projects in areas including health, science, agriculture, and citizenship. And whereas National 4-H Week showcases the incredible experiences that 4-H offers young people and highlights the remarkable 4-H youth in Morrison County who work each day to make a positive impact on those around them. And whereas 4-H is a network of 600,000 volunteers and 3,500 professionals, provides caring and supportive mentoring to all 4-Hers, helping them to grow in true leaders and entrepreneurs and visionaries. Now, therefore, I do hereby proclaim October 2nd through 8th, 2022 as National 4-H Week throughout Morrison County and encourage all of our citizens to recognize 4-H for the significant impact that they have made and continue to make by empowering youth with the skills they need to lead a lifetime.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lemire and a second by Commissioner Wincher to approve October 2nd through 8th, National 4-H Week here in Morrison County. Discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Lemire.
I would just like to say thank you for the breakfast this morning and for being here and talking to us. It's always a joy talking to you guys. You have great personalities, and we appreciate it very much.
Commissioner Wincher.
I was in 4-H probably right around the same age as this little girl right here. So again, 4-H is obviously, we know, has been around a long time. And you do work hard, you know, people gotta understand that, it's just not something that you can just take a cow or a goat or anything like that to 4-H. You gotta work with these pigeons, we got them out here too, so it's a great thing. It gives everybody, you know, and the parents enjoy it probably more than you guys do most of the time, because they're standing behind these kids that are, you know, our future leaders of, our, United States here, so thank you very much.
Commissioner Jelinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, are we doing public speaking in 4-H these days? Because they should.
Yeah.
You did a wonderful job, and I truly mean that, honest to goodness. Fantastic job. But I want to look at all of you right now, and I just want to say, as long as I've been on the board, this is the biggest show of 4-H members that have ever been for Breakfast with the Commissioners, and I'm impressed. This is first-class stuff, guys, and I got to tell you that no matter what, it's first class. And then I have to look at the young lady that's sitting there, and I cannot think of her name. I also can't think of her brother's name, who was a...
Vivian and Everett.
Pardon me?
Vivian and Everett.
Vivian and Everett. Everett was probably your size, Vivian, maybe even a little bit smaller when he first came to a board meeting. Actually got to sit up here in the chair of whoever was the chair at the time, as I recall. And I'll never forget that. That was a big deal, and it's a big deal to have you here today, and it truly is. I know, a little embarrassing because we're talking about you, but that's okay. I'm thrilled that you're here. I'm thrilled at the way that this reading was done today. You did a very, very good job, and I want to thank each and every one of you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jelinski. Commissioner Wilson.
You know, about 28 years ago, we moved the fairgrounds out of town, and it's because of you 4-H kids that we did that, and we worked very hard to do that. And I want to thank all of you for all the improvements that you guys have made throughout the years out there. We go out there, and your show ring and everything is just fantastic. It's one of the best little fairs around that I've seen, and I've been to a lot of them, but it's from the hard work that you have all done to continue that, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Folks, as I look at all of you and as you passed before us here before the meeting and introduce yourself, and I look at you all, and I know almost all of you, I know your parents, and I know how proud they are of you and the work and your commitment, and which really sends a signal about what kind of leaders you will be in the future, and that you are now. But as proud as your parents are of you, myself and my colleagues here on the county board are equally as proud of you, and we are very happy that and delighted that you would serve breakfast for us this morning, and you would be here to share the county boardroom with us this morning. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, let's give these young leaders a round of applause. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion prevails. This is National 4-H Week. I'm going to look to Tabitha and see, can this board have a picture with the young leaders of Morrison County?
Why don't we keep the board seated and file on up, group? Hold 1 second. Hold on just a second. Let Tabby get out so I can find the stream. Thank you. Okay. Come on.
Yeah, we got to be center with the back. Pretty close, I think.
Not as tall people up front, taller ones in the back. We'll make 2 rows.
Tony, you gotta be by me.
Sure, 'cause y'all-
Be by me. So I can show Julie.
This is the only time I get, you know,
All right, keep going, make that second row, boys.
banana juice for.
And a tall lady, tall gal, come on back.
Come on, fellas. Come on, fellas.
And Becky, you should really be in here too.
Yeah, Becky, please.
Becky, please.
How's it looking, Zach?
Let's, okay, let's get the back row to take about, excuse you right here. Everybody from you next to him on to take about a half a step this way.
Find a hole.
Yeah, find a space between the
A little bit that
person in
way.
front of you.
Okay.
There you go.
And then you guys, you, sir, and maybe a little bit this way. Yeah, you're good. And then you two on the end, a little bit this way. And- All right, I think we're good. Nobody move.
Smile.
All right.
One, two, three. All right.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Good, thank you very much.
Nice seeing you, yeah. Take care. See you.
Have fun going back to school now.
Yeah.
Stay safe, thank you all very much.
So that's your neighbor, huh, Mike?
Yeah. Last time I seen you with this ball. Bro,
Once in a while, Becky's gonna talk.
it's not my home.
Becky's gonna talk about the,
I'm with all the children, but if you guys have any questions about the board report, I think you got the county.
we
there.
did, yep,
We're good.
very nice unless
An
you,
hour later.
Did you want to speak to us at all?
I'm just super happy that you have it now. Okay. It was supposed to come last month, but I would just entertain any questions.
I'm good.
I think the kids did a really good job of highlighting 4-H.
Becky, thank you for everything. Thank you.
You're awesome. You're awesome.
Perfect. Perfecto. Perfecto.
I got her on that now for you, Michael.
I got that email.
See you.
and I told Mike-
Hey, Fred.
said Mike didn't send it to me. That email.
No.
Gentlemen, next on the agenda, we have another proclamation, the Operation Green Light Proclamation. Mr. LeBlanc.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd ask members of the Yellow Ribbon Committee of Morrison County to come forward, as well as our CVSO office, if they so choose.
Good morning.
Good morning, yes.
And I guess for the board, could you introduce yourselves and your positions? Go ahead, Angie.
Oh, Angie Peterson.
Morning, Dan. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Dan Noss, member of the Yellow Ribbon Committee, Mayor Randall. Dan Noss, member of Yellow Ribbon Committee for about 13 years, and Mayor Randall.
Chris Vonberg, member of the committee for Yellow Ribbon and Veteran Service Officer.
Patience Savor, member of the Yellow Ribbon.
John Justin, member of the Yellow Ribbon.
Brad Vold, member of the Yellow Ribbon.
Luann Jarvis, Veteran Service Office.
And Jim Segler, Veteran Service Office.
Well, thank you. Mr. Chair, as mentioned last week in planning, the Yellow Ribbon is asked to bring forth a proclamation in conjunction with their Veteran Service Office and their support. This is Operation Green Light. Green Porch Light is a symbol of appreciation for U.S. military veterans. Though some people may leave a green porch light on year-round to express their support, many choose to use this colored bulb around Veterans Day, which is celebrated November 11th. Our hope is to have the green light displayed throughout October and until at least November 13th. The Yellow Ribbon Network of Morrison County has purchased 180 green light bulbs, which are being distributed for anyone who wants to participate while supplies last. The bulbs can be picked up from the American Legion Post 46 in Little Falls, VFW Post Little Falls, Veteran Service Office of Morrison County in the Government Center, and the Randall VFW. And we ask residents to please consider displaying a green light in your front of your office, building, or home during this time. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'd ask if you'd allow Ms. Peterson to read the proclamation.
I would love it. Go ahead.
Whereas the residents of Morrison County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all of the men and women who have selflessly served our country, this community, and in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veteran service officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life. And whereas the National Association of Counties encourage all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Green Light for veterans. And whereas Morrison County appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted. Therefore, be it resolved, with designation as a green light for Veterans County, Morrison County hereby declares from October through Veterans Day, November 11th, 2022, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service. Therefore, be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Green Light, Morrison County encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who make immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying a green light in a window of their place of business or residence.
Wishes of the board.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lemire and a second by Commissioner Wilson to approve this proclamation. Comments?
I just would like to say thank you for bringing this forward. We have Camp Ripley, and which entirety encompasses within Morrison County, and we understand the economic impact that it has for Morrison County. We understand the sacrifices that are made by the soldiers that work out of there and train out of there. And I think this is a great thing, and I think we should all get a green light bulb in support of this also.
Fantastic. Commissioner Wilson.
I just want to thank you for all you do for the organization and stuff, and it's good to recognize people for what they've done. Thank you.
And this is, Mr. Chair, this green light bulb is something that shows that we can honor our veterans, and again, I appreciate everyone that, is here today too. So again, thank you for bringing this forward. I think it was Mr. Law that brought this forward to us, so I want to thank him to make sure we do honor our veterans.
Commissioner Jelinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And for once, I really don't have much more to say because I don't think that I can. I think it's been said already. Thank you, each and every one of you. I've got family, as many of us have, that have been related, engaged in the service, veterans, far and near. They do more than many, many, many people ever will think. And this is just nothing more than recognition, which is, I don't mean nothing more. That sounded a little weak. This is fantastic to be able to do this. Through the Yellow Ribbon Committee, screw a green light bulb in and honor those vets. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, I'll just say, with Commissioner Lemire's comments in recognizing Camp Ripley within our Morrison County borders, we end up, or we have the ability to say we probably have more veterans than most other counties around in the state because of Ripley here. And we do owe them a debt of gratitude for all that they have done for us. I also think it's kind of ironic, we got
Green shirts today, too.
we got the green shirts
I'd like
on.
to see a green bulb just to see what they look like.
We'll get them.
All this will be awesome. I just put a new light fixture in my yard, so we can crank it up
We
green.
have to get this on everybody in the TV.
You go right ahead.
Show them what it looks like. Oh, be darned.
Oh, neat.
They are LEDs, so they won't get hot.
Thank you.
So even if you don't have a space on the outside of your home, if you could
Well,
put
very
them
cool.
on
Thank
the
you.
inside and
Thank you.
leave it out, it would be great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Very, very kindly.
Perfect.
And you'll get
Thank you, ma'am. Awesome.
Thank you.
So, gentlemen, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion prevails. This proclamation goes into effect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
for coming.
We're, as soon as Patty gets down, we'll have you come on up, Yellow Ribbon, and Commissioners stay seated,
Okay.
and we'll come following behind you.
We should be
Display
holding
your
these.
balls.
Yeah, hold your bulbs up, guys. Just like this.
You guys try to center yourself really and see, we're right in the center. Yeah. Lights up. Hold your bulbs up.
Come on, Jim. Tall one's in the back,
Yeah.
short one's in the front. You know the drill. Come on, buddy.
Fill the spaces, don't have.
Or wait for Zach to tell you what to do, because he will tell you.
I think we're in good shape right now, so. 1, 2, 3.
Great picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very, very kindly.
Funny, we burned through 150 bulbs. Are you kidding? We just ordered more.
Good.
Oh, dear.
I'm gonna ask the gentleman to come up here and get a picture.
You gotta pay a fine?
What's her name here?
You gotta pay a fine for every picture you're in?
Gentlemen, next on the agenda, we have the Domestic Violence Awareness Month proclamation. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
Will you please introduce yourself for the tape here this morning?
Yes. I'm Taylor Hernandez, the General Crime and Child Abuse Services Coordinator from Hands of Hope.
And I'm Lindsay DiMatteo. I am the Sexual Assault and Volunteer Coordinator at Hands of Hope. And I will be reading the proclamation on behalf of our Domestic Violence Coordinator, Johanna Klinkner, who couldn't come today.
Go ahead, please proceed.
Excuse me. Whereas 1 in every 4 women will experience domestic violence during her lifetime, and approximately 15.5 million children are exposed to domestic violence every year. And whereas when a family member is abused, it can have long-term damaging effects on the victim, as well as family members, friends, and the community at large. And whereas families are indispensable to a stable society, and they should have a place of support to instill responsibility and values in the next generation. And whereas violence against women and children is a prevalent public health problem that is widespread and is devastating to society as a whole. And whereas the problem of domestic violence is not confined to any group or groups of people, but crosses all economic, racial, gender, educational, religious, and societal barriers. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to the systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and/or abuse. And whereas victims should have help to find the compassion, comfort, and healing they need, and access to medical and legal services, counseling, emergency and transitional housing, and other supportive services so that they can escape the cycle of abuse. And domestic abusers should be punished to the full extent of the law. And whereas we encourage domestic violence victims and their families to seek assistance from appropriate victim services organizations such as Hands of Hope Resource Center. And whereas it is important to recognize the compassion and dedication of the individuals who provide services to victims of domestic violence and work to increase public understanding of this significant problem. And whereas important partnerships have been formed among criminal and juvenile justice agencies, healthcare providers, allied professionals, and victim services to assist victims of domestic violence and their families. And whereas Morrison County has a moral obligation to work to prevent domestic violence, address its brutal and destructive effects, and make ending domestic violence a local priority. Now therefore, the Morrison County Commissioners hereby proclaim the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and urge all citizens to actively support Hands of Hope Resource Center's work towards the elimination of domestic violence.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to move on this.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jelinski and a second by Commissioner Lemire to support this proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Comments, Commissioner Jelinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank both of you for being here today. This is a big, big deal. We're talking about domestic violence, and who does it affect? You, me. We saw our 911 telecommunicators here today. We saw our jail staff here today. We saw the sheriff here today. It affects each and every one of them. Each and every one of them it affects. It affects the families. It affects jail staff. It affects law enforcement, courts, and it affects Hands of Hope. Hands of Hope is made up of many volunteers, paid staff, don't misunderstand me, but many volunteers, and most people don't really realize what this really means. Domestic violence. If you're not hit firsthand by domestic violence, and good grief, I don't mean to say hit, but if you're not involved in that, God bless America that you're not, but if you're not, it's kind of out of your mind. But all it takes is one time. And one time you never forget, and you also never forget how many people are engaged and involved in it. And Hands of Hope is there almost from the very start. Thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for a very nice job in reading that proclamation. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Wincher.
Hands of Hope, you're located in the old courthouse, right? So if anybody, you're always there. I know someone's up to the staff, like you said, the volunteers. So this is a great organization that helps the people in Morrison County. So I appreciate what you two do and the volunteers. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lemire.
I'd just like to say thank you too for what you do. It's a tough job, and providing compassion is God's work, and we appreciate everything that you do.
Commissioner Wilson.
I wish we didn't have this problem in our county, but we do, and I'm glad that you're here to help us deal with it. Because people do need help sometimes, so thank you.
And I'll just say, the work that this board is charged with, I always tell people our work is to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of the people of Morrison County. Obviously, we can't do that by ourselves, and it is through forming these collaborations and working together with organizations like Hands of Hope and with individuals like you that helps us have a chance to be successful in providing for the health, safety, and welfare of the people of Morrison County. Thank you for being with us this morning. Gentlemen, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion prevails. This is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Thank you, ladies, and I wish you a good day.
Picture.
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 Picture day.
Stand behind us or stand in front of us?
Oh, in front of us? Very good.
Right here in the center. So I invite you both, young ladies, come over here, stand right in the center, and hold up your proclamation. Right there you go.
Perfect, perfect.
There you go.
Just a second,
Yeah,
Zach's gonna have to help us.
I think,
Perfect.
All right.
Outstanding.
Thank you, ladies.
Appreciate it very much.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say, okay. So, gentlemen, we have one more proclamation this morning, and this is also very important. We have a Cybersecurity Month proclamation. And we have the people that are fighting for us, providing some security out there. Good morning, Amy, and your staff, and I'd ask that all the staff introduce themselves for the record this morning too.
Sure. Good morning. I'm Amy Middendorf, IT Director, and I am missing one staff member. They decided to take a little vacation this week, so Anthony Starr is not here today, but I would like to recognize him as well. He's our help desk specialist.
Hi, I'm Dan Leahy. I'm the network administrator here, and I handle cybersecurity issues.
I'm Nick Reed. I'm the systems administrator. I handle the majority of the servers and applications within the county.
I'm Logan Schweitzberger. I'm the support specialist, and I make sure devices are up to date and secure.
Fantastic. Amy, go ahead and proceed, please.
All right. So since 2004, October has been celebrated as Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Previously, it was called National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Now, it is a collaborative effort between government and industry to raise cybersecurity awareness nationwide and help ensure that all Americans have the resources they need to stay safe and secure online. So today we're here to highlight the importance of bringing awareness to cybersecurity publicly. The National 2022 campaign theme is See Yourself in Cyber. Cybersecurity might seem like a very complex subject, but really it's all about people. It begins with you. This October, we're going to focus really on the people part of cybersecurity. We're going to provide information and resources to help individuals make smart decisions on the job, at home, at school, and in the future. Just like you protect yourself offline by locking your car when you're in a busy city, you also should apply those same principles to your online activities. During this campaign, there's 4 action steps that everyone can implement to increase their online security: enabling multi-factor authentication, using strong, unique passwords, identifying and reporting phishing attacks, updating your software, and if you do see anything, to please report it to www.cisa.gov/report. So throughout the month of October, we will be posting helpful tips and links on our Facebook page. Within our organization, we're also going to be running educational events to help educate our employees to ensure that we're ready and prepared for an attack. With the Morrison County Board of Commissioners acknowledging the importance of cybersecurity and supporting the national effort of awareness, this will increase local awareness to the citizens and staff. Let me just go ahead. Okay. So the proclamation reads, whereas Morrison County recognizes that it has a vital role in identifying, protecting its citizens from, and responding to cybersecurity threats that may have significant impact to our individual and collective safety and privacy. And whereas critical infrastructure is increasingly reliant on information systems and technology to support financial services, energy, telecommunications, transportation, utilities, healthcare, and emergency response systems. And whereas cybersecurity education and awareness are crucial for everyone, including large corporations, small businesses, financial institutions, schools, government agencies, the home user, and anyone who connects to the internet. And whereas monitoring your accounts, being conscious of what you share online, keeping computer software up to date, creating unique passwords, change them regularly, implementing multi-factor authentication, installing antivirus programs and firewalls, and using mobile devices safely are ways you can protect yourself from phishing, viruses, malware, financial loss, and loss of sensitive data. And whereas the campaign theme, See Yourself in Cyber, serves as a campaign to bring what seems like a complex subject back to focusing on the people part of security. This theme will focus on providing information and resources to help the public make smart decisions while on the job, at home, at school, and in the future. And whereas the National Institute of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Workforce Framework is a free resource to help organizations, both large and small, public and private, improve their cybersecurity practices through a practical approach to addressing the ever-evolving cybersecurity threats and challenges. And whereas maintaining the security of cyberspace is a shared responsibility in which each of us has a critical role to play, and awareness of essential cyber hygiene will improve the security of Morrison County's information infrastructure and economy. And whereas the federal government of the United States of America, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity, and Infrastructure Security Agency, the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, the National Association of State Chief Information Officers, and the National Cybersecurity Alliance all recognize October as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and all citizens are encouraged to visit these websites to learn about cybersecurity, to put that knowledge into practice in their homes, schools, workplaces, and businesses. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Morrison County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim that Morrison County is officially sporting the month of October as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Winchester and a second by Commissioner Wilson to approve support for October as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Discussion. Commissioner Winchester.
Thank you. This is one area that I know very little about, and that's why we have you here, because again, with all the technology coming for us, that's why we ask you to help us out, you know, so I'm scared sometimes you get, email or something like that, well, how do I get rid of this thing? Do I even delete it or whatever? But again, thank you, and I know when I come into your office, we got some great staff members, because they can fix my problems. So I appreciate
They may be fixing one of mine now, too.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for all the help you give us with stuff, but I got an email this week from Mike Lemire, and it says I'm in a meeting and I can't handle it right away, and it's important. Would you please take care of it? And I know Mike would never send me one like that. And the number on top was 510 and a telephone number, but they come all the time, and we do have to be prepared for those.
They even had my address and everything on it.
Yeah, it had his address, his name, and everything on it. I know Mike didn't do it.
Yep, and that's why the focus is really you, so. Yep, thank you.
Commissioner Jelinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Amy, can you or one of your staff give me a quick example, and I know the answer, well, I know there's many answers, but give me a quick example of what a threat is and what the impact could be on the county.
Do you want to answer?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I'll let Dan, he's kind of
Sure.
been leading our
Absolutely.
cybersecurity education here.
As Mike alluded to, you get phishing emails, right? And if you respond to it in the wrong way, it could lead to a compromised credential. They can log into our system. Depending on what they've taken, they can escalate privilege, and get into some of our, well, they know our secrets. They know they get into our data. From that point on, anything could happen. You could have a ransomware attack where your data is no longer yours. It belongs to a cyber criminal, and you'll pay to get it back, or maybe not. But you can never trust it after that, after they've handled it. So you got a myriad of problems at that point, and they can lead to people's personal lives being affected by it, financial loss for the citizens. Nothing good can happen.
Excellent. And that's what I was looking for. Thank you very much.
For the discussion, I just want to say thank you too. Not only for the work that you do, but the professionalism that, Amy, that you and all your staff show to us and to all the members of the Morrison County family here. It's when we're in these positions where we have questions about things that are outside of our wheelhouse, to have professionals that greet and help us with things with such a positive attitude is fantastic for us and for everyone here at Morrison County. We have a motion. We have a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion prevails. This is Cybersecurity Month. Amy, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Yeah, how about a photo?
Oh, we have to have a photo.
Stay seated on this one, they can.
Okay.
We got 5 doors, come on up, guys. Logan.
Sit or stand or?
We're sitting now.
We're sitting, they're gonna stand behind me.
So did the window of time expire in order to change my password? No.
Yes, you want the picture?
The window of time to change my password, that end yesterday? Did it? I don't know.
Yeah, probably did.
Yeah, I
I'll
keep
be calling.
I'll find out.
I'll be calling later.
All right.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Have a good
Nick.
day.
Here, done
There's not
proclaiming.
gonna be no room for news this
You're
week.
gonna have to
That's what I
add
was just gonna say, I'll fill out the
a,
paper
you're gonna have to add
myself
a
this
couple
week.
pages. Oh, well.
That's all right, I'm okay with that. It's quicker to throw photos together.
Not this big? Yeah.
Gentlemen, next on the agenda, we have our yearly report from the Lake Chaminade lid. Mr. Rosar.
You bring Cindy up, she's gonna be the primary one speaking.
Cindy, if you can hear us, go ahead.
You can bring Bob up too. He's back there.
And we like all you people, but we can forgo the picture for now. We'll save some room for reporting.
Okay, I see you, Cindy,
There she is.
and we don't hear you. Let me keep trying this. Now.
Good morning.
We got you.
Good morning. Good morning, Cindy, and we have audio here. I will let you proceed with your report.
Do you have the presentation to bring up?
Yes.
You want to go into the memo portion or to the PowerPoint, Cindy?
To the PowerPoint.
Okay. And there we go. So we're looking at introductions, review of 22 activities.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Cindy Kevern. I'm the administrator of the Lake Chaminade Lake Improvement District. We also have our board members, 4 of our board members there with us today. As you noted, Rick Rosar, who is the chair of the board. Also, I think towards the back of the room, we have Bob Cole, who is the vice chair, Bob Engel, who is a director, And our newest director, Pat Tweed, is also with us today, and we'll talk a little bit about her election later on. Today, what I would like to do is review the past year, 2022 activities, look ahead a little bit at our 2023 work plan, talk about the high water project and its timeline, and also then review the 2023 budget. I'd also like to note on the right-hand side, the picture is of our new, it's the front page of our new website, and we'll talk about that as well. So if you can go to the next page. The first thing I'd like to talk about is our AIS program, Aquatic Invasive Species. Over the past year, we did 2 lake surveys, which I'll talk about in a minute. We also did some hand pulling of our invasive species, which is the Eurasian water milfoil that we have in the lake. We received a partnership grant from Morrison County. Thank you very much. We always want to thank the board not only for their money, but for their support of this program. We use the money towards brochures, our water surveys, our signage, and then also our ambassador program. I think we're the only, perhaps the only lake in Morrison County that has ambassadors at both of our landings. And we do that to inform and check boats as they leave the lake, talk to them about how to clean their boats and keep us clean really from zebra mussels. And on that, we also do an annual sampling for zebra mussels and spiny water fleas. And again, we show no, the results show no infestation. So we're very grateful for that. The next screen. On the AIS program, as I mentioned, we surveyed the lake both on June 28th and on August 4th. That included not only a recheck of the previously treated areas, but also a survey of the entire lake. This picture shows just a small portion of the lake, a surveyed plot in the southwestern area of the lake. And if you notice, there's 4 green dots on the picture. The 2 larger dots are show 10 or more stems, and the 2 smaller dots are only 1 or 2 stems. So that was actually a pretty small area of milfoil now in the lake. And if you want to go to the next page, that picture actually shows the northwestern part of the lake, Northwest Bay, and it actually shows 3 areas of 3 spots where plants were found, and then in the lower portion, number 4 and number 5, are a small patch of Eurasian milfoil that was found along the boat access. So that's basically what we have for milfoil this year. We're very excited that we had no substantial areas found in 2022. Because the areas were so small, we did not apply herbicide, but instead used scuba divers to hand pull the milfoil that was found. So we're very grateful for the money that's been given to the program and the support that we have, because we have done a good job of being able to control milfoil in our lake. Next slide. Some other updates. We tried to do a good job with communications with our property owners. We actually get a lot of thank yous and kudos back from property owners. We do hold 4 regular board meetings of the LID Board of Directors each year. We also have special meetings as they're required. The meetings are announced on the website. We actually hold them online through Zoom, but we have a viewing opportunity at the Scandia Valley Town Hall. So we have a board member, 1 or 2 board members that are at the town hall, and people that for whatever reason can't view at home, or perhaps just want to be able to gather together, are able to go to the town hall and view the board meeting. And also there's board members there then to talk to and raise questions to, etc. The meetings are open to the public and notes are posted on the website. And also we hold 2 fairly large meetings each year. One we held this past July to talk about the high water project. We call it an informational meeting. And then in August we held our annual meeting. Those meetings we actually record, and the recordings are also posted to the website. We send out periodic electronic newsletters. I think the board members and I think your county administrator is also a subscriber. That gives people updates on what's going on. I think we sent out 6 newsletters this past year. We also do mailings through U.S. mail to send out to property owners to make sure that they're up to date on the news of the lid. And then, as I mentioned, we do have a new lid website. We're very excited. We have a new web address, lakeshamanalid.org. That website does have information on our meetings, project, financial information. We're trying to keep it up to date as quickly as possible. In the past, our website was actually administered by somebody else. Now, Rick and I have administration rights, so once we have something new, we try to get it posted as soon as possible. So it's, I think, working pretty well. We also have an audit of our financial records in process. I believe they've gone, the CPA has gone through all the information, is in the process of creating a report for us. So the next slide. We also want to provide you an update on our high water outlet project. I know that's always of interest. The purpose of the high water project is to establish a maximum operating level on the lake. It includes installation of a lake outlet structure and pumping station at the west end of the lake. The water would then flow west, eventually to the Todd County Ditch 41, and then eventually to the Long Prairie River. We've been working very closely with property owners along the route to ensure our project is not detrimental to their property. And one thing I will add is that people often ask us, you know, why does this take so long? And there's many reasons, but one of them is it does take time to work with each of the property owners. They a lot of times have questions that we need to get back. They might have design suggestions. Maybe they don't want an open ditch, maybe they want a pipe, and it requires us to do design. And obviously each property owner has individual interest in their property that we have to answer and make sure that we're not detrimental with. So it does take time with those property owners. We have obtained agreements for easements with all of the Morrison and Todd County property owners west of Highway 10. And the agreements with the landowners east of Highway 10 are nearing complete. I think we only have 2 left that we need to get completed. Next slide. Do you want to go down to the next slide? There we go. Thank you. And that's okay. The next slide really is just a route map, that one. It just shows, the red line shows that the pipe would come out of the west end of the lake, down on the east side of Highway 10, flow under Highway 10, and then through a series of pipes and ditches get to Ditch 41, and then eventually to the Long Prairie River. We do have this route map actually posted on our website as well. The next slide. We're very excited about the progress that has been made on the project over the last year. As you're probably all aware, the petition to utilize Ditch 41 in Todd County was approved on October 13th, almost a year ago now, in 2021. An operations and maintenance plan has been developed, has been approved by the DNR. We actually completed a wetland delineation, and the agencies, required agencies have approved that plan. We've completed a lot of technical tasks, including monitoring and borings and surveys, and we've also done a lot of work on the design. So as I mentioned, the agencies, when we work with them, sometimes they will request a certain design change. Perhaps it's to the pump house or to the lake inlet or to how we go under Highway 10. And so we've done a lot of work working with those agencies and completing that design work. And then this past January, we completed and approved an environmental assessment worksheet. The next slide. We've continued to work and meet with the DNR. We've had regular meetings with them to provide updates, discuss technical information, which has been very helpful to the project. As I mentioned, we held a high water informational meeting in July, and the slides and recording are on the website. And our most exciting news is that we just recently, about a month ago, received approved permits from the DNR, from the Minnesota Department of Transportation, and Morrison County for the project. And so that really has put us to the point where we're only weeks away from our final design work. And the other thing I want to note, as long as we're on this, the topic of the high water project, is you can see a cabin. Actually, this picture was taken in 2022. Our lake right now is about 1.66 feet over the ordinary high water mark, which is about 4 to 6 inches higher than around this time last year. So our lake is actually a little bit up from last year. Next slide. And in your packet, I know that you probably looked at our vote tallies. We had 4 budget questions which we asked our property owners about this year. We had our annual meeting held on August 27th. We used survey and ballot systems again to administer our voting process, which allowed our people, our property owners, to both mail in and vote online. They had about 4 weeks for voting. So one of the things that's an advantage about that is it gives almost more people an opportunity to vote. On the first budget question, which was the first budget item, it was the non-project budget of $38,000, which is our administrative budget for things like communications and insurance and items like that. That was voted yes, with 76% of our voters voting in favor. Number 2 is our AIS budget, which includes the control, treatment, planning, surveys, ambassador program. Again, voted in favor by 82%. The third is the high water project planning and operations budget for $295,000, which includes the engineering costs for that final design work and bidding. It also includes a couple of months' worth, of operational costs anticipated for when the project goes live, when the pumping goes live. That was for $295,000, with 66% voting in favor. And the fourth budget question was to increase the high water project budget from $3,350,000 to $5,550,000. Again, voted in favor by 56%. I'm going to talk in just a minute about those cost increases and what caused them. But this budget includes the construction costs for the project, engineering, those land rights, those easement fees, outlet fee, and also a contingency amount. The other items we had in our election were election of directors. As you might remember, we have 5 board of directors. 3 of those seats require that the director be a permanent resident on the lake. We had, for this voting season, we only had 1 seat up for election. Tim Rice was in that seat. He chose not to run this year. And we had Patricia Tweet, who is in the audience, nominated, decided to run, and she won with 166 votes. So we are welcoming her to the board this year. And then over on the seasonal residency side, we have 2 seats. Both of those seats were up for election. The incumbents were Fred Combe and Rick Rosar. Tom Schuler was also nominated and chose to run. Fred and Rick did come forward with the most seats, so they again will be on the board. Next slide. I want to talk a little bit about the cost increases for the high water project. I know the dollar amount going up to $5.5 million was a lot of money. One of the things I want to note is the last time we had a vote on the project for the $3 million was 2 years ago in 2020. So it has been 2 years. We had our engineer do a opinion of probable cost. in about June or July of this past year, and they took a look at all of the costs for pipe and materials and contractors. They actually call around and try to find those cost information, and unfortunately the costs had risen quite substantially. The increase in costs is primarily due to inflation, with the rising costs of materials and labor due to the COVID pandemic and rising fuel costs. We want to note that the project requires over 2 linear miles of pipe, and the increase in the price of oil has resulted in substantial increases in the price of the required pipe because the resin required to produce the pipe is petroleum based. And also noted on the third item is we've had a lot of additional reviews. As you know, we have the permits done, as I just mentioned. We've gotten the permits, and through those reviews, the DNR, MnDOT, a number of agencies, as well as property owners, have required design changes, which makes us have a little bit more pipe. So we have now 2 linear miles of pipe compared to what the requirements were 2 years ago. The cost of the pump and control panels have also increased. There's an increased demand on these type of materials and supplies due to the number of projects across the country, and of course that has risen, made the price increase. We've also had a number of design changes, as I mentioned, which also has resulted in increased engineering for the project. So that's the price increase. The other thing I want to mention is that unfortunately we've also learned that there is demand for some of those products, and there might be some delay in getting products. So a couple of months ago our engineer had checked, and I think PVC pipe had a 30-week lead time, and the pump had a 14-week lead time. We're hearing that those lead times have been reduced in the last couple of months, so we're hopeful that by the time we get to construction that the issue won't be there, but that is one of the other things that we're facing. Next slide, please. We want to also talk and look forward to our 2023 work plan. We'll continue to be working on the AIS, the Aquatic Invasive Species Program, again doing surveys, hand pulling. We expect that we might have to do chemical treatments again this in 2023. We want to continue the ambassador program. We feel that it's been very successful to the control of invasive species. And of course, we'll also be applying for the Morrison County grant again this year. We're very thankful for the funding for that. Next slide. We'll again be working on communications. We'll continue to send out newsletters, continue to do mailings. One thing I hadn't mentioned when talking about the website is the new website actually has a feature in it where people can sign up electronically to get on our newsletter list, but they can also send in contact for us to ask a question or provide a comment. And that's been very successful. People can get a hold of us through our email, but for some reason the website, it seems to be an easier place for people to do that. So I probably get a half a dozen contacts each week just asking a question or wondering about something. So it's been a very nice and easy way to communicate with people about their questions and issues. We also will continue with our Treasury Reports. We post them on our website. We have questions from property owners once in a while about them. And then, as I mentioned, we're also conducting a financial audit. Next slide. We also want to give you an idea of the next steps for the project. In September, we did get a positive vote on vote 3 and 4, which allowed us to move forward. We're going to be finalizing approvals. We have it listed as agencies, but also we'll be finalizing approvals from landowners for those agreements. We're very hopeful that we can get that done in November. We feel we're very close. That will allow us to get into our detailed design work, which we hope to complete by the end of the year. We're also planning to hold a 429 hearing for finance of the project. And one thing I should mention is that the board has worked very hard this past year with the state legislature, both the House and the Senate. We had heard very positive things from them about funding Lake Chaminade in the bonding bill. In fact, we had from both the House and the Senate, which of course were different parties, so we were very excited that both of them said, yes, we will get some funding for the Lake Chaminade project if the bonding bill is approved. Unfortunately, as you know, the bonding bill has been delayed. We're hearing that it may not even get heard this year, so we're not sure about that. But we will continue to work with the legislature. We're very hopeful we would get money. That money, of course, any money we receive from the legislature would reduce the cost impact to our property owners. So that would then go directly impact the financing for the project. Number 5 is the bidding. So hopefully in the winter we would get the project bid out, select a contractor and get that started. Number 6 is the financing. So we would acquire temporary financing to be able to get the construction done. We would then be able to start the construction. The timeline for construction is really dependent on the availability of contractors and supplies. So while we say spring and summer, and we're very hopeful we would get to that then, it is dependent on those issues. And then pumping obviously would begin, and then finalize the bonding for the final financing, which would include, hopefully we would get some money from the legislature so it would reduce the amount to our property owners. Next slide. As noted in your agenda item, one of the reasons for this update is to provide an update for you and to approve our annual report. It's also to request approval for our 2023 budget. The items are that vote 1 for $38,000, vote 2 for $30,000, vote 3 for $295,000. Those 3 items then are an estimated levy amount or charge amount of $1,010.04 per residential parcel. The reason we say estimated, by the way, is that between now and the end of the year, the number of parcels can change. Sometimes people combine parcels, or there's other activities. So while the budget amount stays the same, the number of parcels might change. So that's why we say estimated. We'd also like to note that since the county board had previously delegated authority to the LID to establish and finance the high water project, the following voting item, vote 4, is being provided for informational purposes only, and no county board action is requested for that. So with that, I'd like to entertain any questions. I know Rick is there as well, so if the board has any questions for us or follow-up.
Gentlemen, Commissioner Wincher.
Thank you. Going back, again, help me out on the votes for the levy increase. You had 211 total votes for Aquatic, Invasive, few things. But then under your permanent residents for running for candidate, you had 177, and for seasonal you had 387. So again, remind me why 387 people voted in a process of electing officers, but only 211.
They get to vote for 2 on that one.
And that's what I would like to have that explained. So if you could do that for us, please.
Correct. That's because they could vote for 2. That's exactly right.
Okay, that answers that question. Thank you.
Commissioner Lemire.
Cindy, how many total votes are there? 350, something like that?
I believe, I just looked it up, I think it's 309.
Okay,
So we had 68% voting.
So some chose not to vote. Okay, and you answered one of my questions. So if we do, you were slated in the bonding bill, and everything seemed to be good that you were going to get the bonding bill, but unfortunately they didn't vote on it, and they didn't have a special session to vote on it either. So that's behind us. We gotta look forward. But if the bonding bill does pass, that savings will be passed right back onto your residents. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then I just want to say I attended your annual meeting via Zoom. I believe it was Zoom, one of those softwares. But one of the things that they talked about is valuations, and I think the maximum is the $5 million is $15,000. Is that what it is?
Yes, it's
Approximately.
15,000 something, yes.
And a lot of people brought up the fact that their valuations should go up by 15,000 if we get the lake under control. And then there was those that talked about going different directions with the piping system. But the one thing that got me the most was the gentleman that talked about it used to be a neighborly community and it's not a neighborly community anymore. And that's the one that got me the most, that because when his friends would come up, they'd say, boy, this isn't the place it used to be. The people aren't as nice as they used to be. And that's disheartening. And I acknowledge everything that you guys are doing. You got a tough job, and Patty, I'm glad you stepped forward and take that position, because it's tough, because sometimes it's a 70-30 issue, sometimes it's a 60-40 issue, and it's tough, and people are having a difficult time. People's homes are underwater. Maybe there is another direction to go, but right now this is the direction that was chosen. This is the direction that's almost to completion to start construction. And I will continue to talk with Representative Creshaw. I know he's supportive of you in getting the bonding bill, so I'll keep working on him to keep that in the bonding bill, and hopefully they'll vote on it. And I also believe there's possible some DNR grants that you can access, maybe?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, we're, Lake Chaminade is both on the governor's list and on the DNR's list to get money should a bonding bill occur. There still is a chance that the bonding bill could occur this year. It's probably a long shot, but there's been other groups pushing for it very hard. But yes, we are on the governor's list. Actually, Lake Chaminade is mentioned, and on the DNR's list. So if it happens, we're slated to get money.
Great. And then I'd also like to give a shout out to Mr. Bob Engel. He's always, whenever I have a question, he's always accessible, and he's very straightforward, and I appreciate that very much. That's all I have right now, Mr. Chair.
Further comments, questions? Gentlemen? I guess the only question I would have is if there was the desire or if there's a motive to go back to having in-person annual meetings with the board present, and that, I recognize that, technology can be utilized to conduct meetings and things like that. But now being what I would consider to be post-COVID, and getting back to a more sense of normalcy, Lake Chaminade is probably the only lake improvement district that I know that does not meet in person, and I was just curious if that topic has come up to be addressed in going back to having in-person meetings.
Yeah, actually, our last two meetings, we did have an in-person component to it. Prior to that, we were just strictly doing online meetings through the COVID pandemic. And in our July meeting and our annual meeting, we had an open meeting place where board members were present and people could choose to view it online or in person.
Okay.
I'd just like to add too that since so many of our property owners are seasonal and aren't necessarily at the lake, we've had many mention to us that they appreciate the ability to do it online, because sometimes it was difficult for them to get to the meeting in person. So I think having both components has been an advantage.
Okay, very good. Further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I should get this on the table while we're prior to our discussions too.
Commissioner Lemire.
I make a motion to approve the 23 annual report, budget, and votes 1, 2, and 3 for an estimated levy of $1,010.04 per residential parcel.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lemire and a second by Commissioner Wincher to approve of particulate 1, 2, and 3 with a $1,010 levy assessment. Discussion. Discussion.
I'd like to say one more thing.
Commissioner Lemire.
Administrator LeBlanc and I had a meeting with John Kolb, our guru on lids, and because I wanted to make sure I was doing my job right. And he said that our job is to move forward with what the property owners decide, per se. So they had a vote, and most of the property owners, I'm trying to find that. Most of the property owners voted in favor of 1, 2, and 3. I think it was 66% was the lowest. So he said if they had held a vote, the membership was positive, even if it wasn't 66%, but it was 66%, 82%, and 76%, that we have an obligation to support that. So I will be in support of their levy.
Thank you, Commissioner Lemire. For the discussion.
I have to agree with Mike. Their association voted to do this, and so I feel we should support this.
For the discussion. Seeing none, gentlemen, this is a roll call. Commissioner Lemire?
Aye.
Commissioner Wincher?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Jelinski?
Aye.
And the chairman votes aye. All those voting in the affirmative, motion prevails. Gentlemen, anything else?
Thank you very much.
Good information.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy. Nice job.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Chair,
Thanks, Bob.
Can we
Bob,
take 5
Matt.
minutes?
Why wouldn't we?
Gentlemen, we'll take a short break here. We'll proceed with our board meeting. Excuse me. Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
Gentlemen, we're back to order here at 10:38. Next on the agenda, we have the Health and Human Services Report. Good morning, Brad, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Mr. Chair,
Good morning,
Commissioners.
We are going to talk a little bit about our delegated authority when it comes to special needs basic care. This is a program for individuals who are eligible for medical assistance and are disabled. And Sarah and Cindy both have a role to play in this and their staff. So I'll turn it over to them.
Yes, good morning. So just a little refresher on who we're serving. Brad already alluded to some of that, but this is a service that is provided to adults ages 18 to 64 who are certified disabled. Yep.
He's busy eating, that's okay. Leave him.
Vanna?
I was just rolling with it. They are eligible for medical assistance and they may also have Medicare. And so we have two plans here at the county. We have Medica, which is what I supervise and my staff does, and then UCare, which Cindy supervises and her staff does. So with Medica, we have about 111 members. What this is care coordination is a service to help people coordinate their healthcare needs. So these people still may have another case manager. They might have a waiver case manager. They might have an adult mental health case manager above and beyond what this care coordinator does. So this care coordinator would assist with transportation to medical appointments, assisting in getting medical equipment, helping find a provider. That's what this is all about. They have to complete what's called a health risk assessment. That is voluntary for the client to complete, but it is a goal of ours to engage them in that process to help us understand what their healthcare goals are and how we can meet them. We did have a dual product which was added January 1, and what that means is that prior to that, if they were on Medicare, that plan was separate. Now, with this dual product, that Medicare coverage is all in one plan. So that started with Medica on January 1st. So just wanted to talk about what that means if they do have a combined, with their Medicare combined in with Medica, and why that's a benefit to members. Number one, it's coverage through one plan. You don't have to go to two separate places to ask questions. It's a one-stop shop. They have a gym membership benefit, which is called One Pass. So they get a 12-month no-cost fitness access to gyms and fitness studios. They have on-demand live streaming to fitness classes. They have in-person and online social activities, so just kind of a cool benefit that is not offered unless you are in the dual product. They have different durable medical equipment coverage, which is a benefit to members. They have their pharmacy coverage, so their Part D medication plan is a part of this, as well as a Food RX, and that is an educational nutrition program in which they partner with Second Harvest to provide monthly nutritious meals to people with chronic conditions for about 6 months. So a really cool option. We only, out of 111 members, have 5 people on this right now. Our goal is to help encourage that people go this route, and I know Medica is doing some advertising, but it's definitely still some work to be done there. So I wanted to show you our Medica member involvement, and like I had said in previous slides, our goal is to get people to engage with that health risk assessment. And so this shows in 2021 versus 2022, because as you remember, we started with Medica in June of 2020. And so I wanted to kind of show a couple of years of what that looks like. I am proud to say that if you see that yellow part, that's the people that have refused in HRA. You can see that number has went down in 2022, which is what we want. We want that orange part, the people engaged in the HRA, to be higher. And so from 2021 to 2022, we've reduced the amount of people that have refused, and we've reduced the amount of people we can't reach. We do have a new care coordinator with us, Elizabeth Liu. She's been here about 4 months, and I can tell you the work that she has done is amazing to kind of engage these members.
So the other health plan that works with our SNBC members is UCare. UCare has a little bit different model as far as how they give us the clients. So we get a client and we have 2 months to engage that client, and if they don't engage with us, they go back to UCare for care coordination. It's just an unusual model, and it's been a little bit challenging to work with, and it's hard to engage members. And you can see by this graph how the numbers go up and down. So if we don't engage them, they go back to UCare for 10 months, and then we get another opportunity to engage them. However, and what they've done is they only pay us for those 2 months that we're attempting to engage them, and then when they go back to UCare, we're not getting paid for that member. So if you look on the next slide, please, that just talks about that reimbursement, and so it's a real unpredictable and up and down kind of revenue coming from that work as well. Go to slide 8, please. However, UCare is restructuring. So beginning on January 2023, they're going to give us all 235 members, and we're going to have them throughout the year, so that we'll have predictable income. We still will only get paid a reasonable amount for the ones that we engage. We'll get a much smaller amount for the ones that are just newly assigned to us or that have not engaged with us. So there will be a much better incentive for us to hang on to that member and to have them throughout the year. Questions on that? Because that's a little different thought process.
That's, again, part of the reason why we reduced our Medica, or discontinued our Medica contract for MSHO was because of the change in UCare and SNBC and the number of clients we're gonna be coming through, so.
So, if I may, so this is something that UCare is trying then for the next 12 months.
Correct.
But see, I guess the disconnect for me, I'm trying to get my arms around. These are our residents. You have 235 members, and those are residents of Morrison County.
Correct.
But we're saying that a portion or a larger portion of them rather deal with getting their care coordination through UCare, through the health insurance company, rather than.
It's more a matter of by default because they just don't engage. They don't return calls. They don't answer a phone call or a letter that comes from their care coordinator saying, hey, I want to connect with you and talk to you about your benefits. So when they don't engage, by default, they've been going back to UCare. It's not that their insurance goes away, they just don't get their care coordination from us.
And so in that sense, then what happens is UCare would then facilitate their care coordination, and then they would not have to pay, UCare would not have to pay the county or reimburse the county for that service, and they could, in essence, garner that business for themselves.
Exactly.
Do we have, is there transparency between the county and UCare that this is kind of an open playing field to access these clients? Or do we, or is UCare open to having the county do care coordination for their clients? Or in my mind, I look at this that, well, I'm sure they'd rather provide that service themselves rather than paying us to do that when they have people to do that. The transparency part comes into, do we have the opportunity to enter into a level playing field with them in approaching these clients? Or are these clients, let's say, and this is probably dangerous to say, but I mean, are they being shielded from the county by UCare with their designs? Or, you know where I'm going. Any thoughts on that?
Well, Mr. Chair, it's likely that they're not engaging with UCare either. And part of the reason that they're transitioning to this new model is because they want more people to engage. And by us maintaining the caseloads, we are hopefully going to do a better job of engaging those UCare members in participating in an SNBC product. So that's part of the reason why they're shifting their model. And because they didn't engage with us and they went back to UCare, as I said, it's likely they probably didn't communicate with UCare either in that process. They just then wouldn't pay us any amount of money for them during that 10 months period. Now they will pay us for that 10-month period, hoping that we will do a better job of engaging them, because we're always the one sending the letter, we're always the one calling, versus shifting back and forth between UCare and us.
And I just want to clarify here too, I'm not, the motive behind my questioning is not so much technical about, you know, who's getting to provide the services or who is not getting to provide the services. In the end, the desire should be, are we doing everything we can for the residents of the county to make sure that their health care needs are being met?
Exactly.
And that we're having the ability to have access. But we can't help those people who don't engage with us or
Correct.
anyone
They still
else.
have insurance coverage, so if they show up at the hospital, the clinic, or anywhere to get their care, they still have their insurance. It's just this care coordination piece where someone was helping them, guiding them through some difficult, challenging situations doesn't exist if they choose not to engage with us. By putting all of them on now the first of the year, they're going to consistently have the same point person, and we really feel like that is going to be an advantage for that member, because they will always have the same care coordinator and not 2 months at the county and 10 months at UCare, and where's that letter, who am I supposed to call now? It's always going to be the same consistent person, and I can't imagine that we wouldn't have better luck engaging them in that circumstance.
It's kind of like what we do in Medica. You know, there's the one point person, and whether or not they engage in the HRA or not, it's still that same person throughout the year. So they can still call that person and then hopefully engage in that HRA, or, you know, that's kind of the same model in a way.
Okay.
It's also consistent for the provider, so if someone gets hospitalized, calling here to the county and saying, I've got one of your members here, and we're gonna need some services when they're discharged from the hospital. So if it's always consistent that they call us, that's gonna be an advantage as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Cindy. Please proceed.
Just one last slide that talks about our revenue, and so this is a fairly significant revenue stream. You can go one more to the last one that just talks about Medica and UCare. We're hoping that this new model, that we stay steady with our UCare revenue, and it really is going to be a matter of how hard we work to engage those members, because the more we engage, the more we will get reimbursed. And we're hoping that UCare doesn't flip the tables on us and figure out a way to make this to their financial advantage.
And Medica is a more consistent revenue source because it's per member per month. So we receive about $90 per member per month. So as long as you keep your 111 members, your revenue is going to look similar all the way along. So.
And we know that coming out of COVID, that we have a lot of people that have not engaged with preventive work, and that will be our focus when we reach out to members is, have you been to the clinic? Have you had your physical? Have you had your colonoscopy, et cetera? So we have our work cut out for us to try and get folks back on track, essentially.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I can see, I know a number of people who continue with that hesitation to engage in in going to healthcare facilities, going to the doctor, or delaying procedures of that because of the pandemic fears that somebody carried for such a long period of time.
Our providers are still catching up. Our providers are still busy. It's not like people can call and get in very readily. And so, people get frustrated by that, and we need to continue to encourage them, get on a waiting list, get your appointment scheduled, et cetera.
Gentlemen, discussion, questions?
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Gentlemen, I'd look to Mr. LeBlanc for our administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gentlemen, a couple items not in your packet, but by way of update. Began talking about this in January, the opioid settlement and receiving monies. The county is still set to receive $1.6 million over the next 18 years. Our first payment is set to be received by October 28th. The last two pieces were complete here yesterday by electing our payment option and submitting our W-9. So I believe as a county, we have done all that we can to receive our first payment of $51,486. We are receiving more information about requirements, and what I understand, if it's under a $25,000 project, it's fairly simple, straightforward reporting, and larger items becomes a little bit more complicated. Money can roll over, and as of this point in time, there's not a deadline when it must be committed by. So Brad will continue to lead that effort for the county, but I just want to give the board an update of where we're at. But we'll see when it gets here.
That money will be deposited in a special identified account.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. Kurt, our CFO, came forward here, I think it was last board 2 weeks ago, and asked to establish the account. So it's a standalone account for this money.
And Mr. Chair?
You may go, Mr. Jelinski.
I just want to ask Matt one more question. Again, if I understood this right, and I believe I do, is that there is no deadline to spend this. And what I mean by that is that if there's could be an organization that we could pick a percent, doesn't matter what it is, of funding over the next 18 years, we could allude, or is that the right word? We could
allocate
that we would fund that project X percent for the next 18 years, based upon there's no deadline or date to spend this funding, just as an example.
That's right, Mr. Chair. And for simplistic reasons, and we keep talking about what kind of items can the monies go toward, I simply would say before, during, and after. So before is the education prevention, during is part of the response by first responders and in custody through the probation period and that piece, or the after in the treatment. So before, during, after, the money to be used for the fight against opioids.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
You
and
may.
again, to follow up, I'm one that probably wouldn't want to spend money that we got coming, over 18 years until we get it in the bank, because I don't know, who knows what's going to happen. So as it goes, my interest would be, okay, we got $10,000 or $1 million in there, we can spend it. But if we're spending $1 million and we don't have it in there yet, I would have a little challenge.
No, and please, Commissioner, make no mistake, I agree. I'm just saying that in a long-range goal, the planning process, that this money would be coming in, we're not spending a nickel of it if it's not here. I totally agree.
I agree with that, too.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. The next item, just for the board's awareness, I'll be attending the Maca Macrame Conference later this week. Depart on Wednesday, return on Friday, and focused on, this one is with the macrame, it's focused on administration, human
I
relations.
thought you were going to go crocheting.
I didn't, but I got a degree in underwater basket weaving, so. Okay, and that's it for that, and then I know I have a proclamation coming, but I think we go to committee reports, resolution. We're done with proclamations. But before that, committee reports.
So, I look to our deputy clerk to inform us of the dates we are looking at.
October 9th through October 22nd.
I look to our leadoff hitter, Mr. Jelinski, Commissioner Jelinski, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll start off with reminding everyone that Monday, the 10th, is still the day Christopher Columbus discovered America, and that, I believe we still observe that, right?
Yes.
Or is that?
As a county, we are open for business,
Open.
but it is Columbus Day.
But it is Columbus Day, that's correct. On the 11th, at 8:30 in the morning, we have a planning session. At 6 o'clock that evening, normally would be Planning Commission Board of Adjustment, but my records here indicate that there is no Planning Commission Board of Adjustment on Tuesday, the 11th. On the 12th, at 8:30 in the morning, there's a department head meeting. On the 13th, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a Central Minnesota Emergency Services Board Next Generation 911 virtual meeting. On the 14th, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a Central Minnesota Emergency Services Board RAC meeting. That is virtual. On the 17th, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have not replied to this as of yet, but I should get that done today. There's a community, I'm sorry, I misspoke. 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 17th is a community health needs assessment meeting, and that is here in the boardroom. At 5:30 that same evening is a Good Neighbors EMS meeting, and that meeting is held at St. Gabriel's. On the 18th at 9 o'clock in the morning, there's a county board meeting. On the 19th, and this is where I was trying to speak and I misspoke, at 11:30 in the morning, there's a Northland Reliability Project meeting that is going to be held here in the boardroom. This is for stakeholders. I believe there's going to be a new transmission power line that's going to come through Morrison County and go to XYZ wherever. And it's all here, I have not read it all. I saw something online. Maybe everybody's getting this, I don't know, but it goes through, going to go right through Ripley and Belle Prairie, I believe, and I plan to attend that.
That power line is part of Tranche 1 of the MISO district, and there is a significant importance to that transmission build in providing reliable power to northern Minnesota. And that line will run through that eastern part of Morrison County, start down at what is called Cassie's Crossing down by Monticello, and run up, and is a joint project between Minnesota Power and Great River Energy, and that line will run up to, I want to say Grand Rapids area, or close to the Boswell coal-fired plant that Minnesota Power owns up there on the range.
Okay.
So,
Nonetheless, that meeting is at 11:30 here in the boardroom on the 19th. Also on the 19th at 3:30 in the afternoon, I have a State Emergency Communications Board Executive Committee meeting, and that meeting is virtual. At 5 o'clock that evening, it's a Hands of Hope meeting, and that meeting is also virtual. And I don't know that I'm going to make this one, but at 7 o'clock that evening, there's a Morrison County Fall Township Board meeting, and I believe that's at the Little Falls Township Hall.
is that on the 20th?
Nope, on the 19th. On the 20th, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a Central Minnesota Emergency Services Board Owners and Operators Users Meeting, and as of now, that is virtual. And, Mr. Chair, as of right now, that's all I have.
And Mr. Chair, just one adjustment to location for the township biannual, it'll be here in the boardroom.
Oh, I stand corrected. Sorry. Sorry, that's here. And I do not know that I will be making that one. I've got my hands full that night, so we'll see.
The Community Health Needs Assessment meeting that's on the 17th is at what time?
2 o'clock.
They've already had one of those?
Yep.
Okay. And the department head meeting on the 12th is at what time?
8:30.
Department head is 8:30.
Commissioner Wincher.
Okay, above and beyond that, today is a national holiday. It's my anniversary.
Anniversary today, all right.
42 years.
Congratulations. Congratulations, all to the same wife.
All in the same way, yes. Okay, above and beyond what Commissioner Jelinski said, I have a union negotiation meeting on the 12th at 9:30 down at, for Great River Regional Library. I'll be attending that. Additionally, I have a Great River Regional Library meeting on the 18th at 5 o'clock. And I think the rest is all covered. Yep.
Commissioner Lemire?
On the 10th, Yellow Ribbon Legion at 3:30 PM. 12 o'clock, or, where the heck am I going? On the 19th, Public Health Advisory. It was held here last time, in the boardroom, 5 o'clock. And you got everything else.
You good?
Yep.
Commissioner Wilson?
On the 13th, I've got trails at the city of Little Falls at 6 o'clock. On the 18th, I've got community development at noon at Pine Country Bank. And on the 20th, I've got airport at noon at the airport. That's it.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. The only thing I can add on the 20th of October would be the Egg Society at 7 PM. And I will have to double check location if that one may still be at the fairgrounds for location.
She might have asked for it.
Oh, she might, oh, we might be already, yeah. We might be here. Boardroom? Okay. Okay. Very good. That's all I can add. Thank you, gentlemen, for helping with the calendar. Any other information on meetings or commitments, gentlemen, to share with the rest of the board? If not, I'll go back to Mr. LeBlanc. You have a resolution for us?
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and as we continue to navigate our union negotiations with our 5 contracts due, this will expire this year, I'd ask to go into a closed session today and available for a closed session on the 11th after planning.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jelinski, a second by Commissioner Lemire to recess to closed session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, we are in closed session.